Falling for Havoc, a Wattpad novella written by M.E. Randall. Chapter 15, Humanity's Last Plea.
As I gaze into the mirror, my reflection begins to wane, slowly dissolving like mist in the morning sun. A strange sensation tingles at the back of my mind, and as I lean closer, the world beyond the glass shifts into focus. Suddenly, the familiar yet chaotic outlines of Havoc's bedroom emerge. At the foot of his bed, he sits in quiet contemplation, Serenity comfortably beside him. The sight of him, framed by the soft glow of the evening light, sends a thrill of longing coursing through me. As I lean against the mirror, my breath quickens, and I desperately hope to break through its reflective barrier as I had before. Yet, despite my fervent wish, the glass remains unyielding, cool and smooth against my touch, a stark reminder of the distance that separates us. Havoc appears to be a mere shadow of the man he once was when I last saw him. His form is hunched and fragile, as if the weight of the world has crumpled him. His once vibrant presence is now shrouded in despair, fingers tangled desperately in his disheveled hair, showcasing the turmoil within. Each shallow breath he takes seems to echo the depth of his anguish, leaving him looking lost and defeated, a stark contrast to the spirited individual I remember.
I'm sorry.
Serenity gently pats his back, trying to comfort him.
But she's gone.
Havoc sits up looking at her, his eyes red with tears.
Is she at least happy now?
Serenity's hand slides back into her lap as she gives him a reassuring smile.
Of course. If she wasn't, she'd be with you.
Bitch. Havoc's gaze tips to the ceiling as he tries to blink back tears.
I didn't mean to kill her. Why did she get out of the building with everyone else?
Serenity pats his leg gently.
We both knew it was bound to happen. It's the way it is around you.
My jaw tightens involuntarily, the muscles coiling in response to the tension in the air. I can feel the heat rising within me as I try to unravel her wicked scheme. She sits there, a hint of a smirk playing on her lips, fully aware that I am very much alive. The conflicting emotions swirl inside me, anger, frustration, and a hint of bewilderment, as I contemplate her next move.
I suppose there's nothing much else to strive for in this world. Just keep on trucking,
she says, glancing at her brother, her eyes hiding whatever scheme she's conspiring. The weight of her words hangs in the air, colored by the dim light of the fading afternoon. Havoc's gaze slowly shifts from the ceiling to her. A heavy aura of darkness seems to envelop him, deepening the shadows that cling to his figure.
Keep on trucking?
He repeats slowly, each word laced with barely contained frustration. His jaw muscles tense as he grits his teeth, clearly struggling to rein in his mounting anger.
Well, what else is there? I mean, unless you pick up your apocalypse plan again, then you get rid of everyone and can just slip into oblivion. I don't know, maybe you can find peace there.
What in the hell is her motive? Havoc raises a brow at her, clearly confused.
You want me to end the world?
No, of course not.
Serenity leans back against his bed.
I just hate seeing you hurt like this for so long.
She pauses and lets out a soft sigh.
Haven't you suffered long enough?
It stopped hurting for a little while when Nadine was here. She actually had me believing that maybe she was right. That through my destruction, good does spring up.
Havoc wilts once more, his spirit dimming like a fading ember, and it shatters my heart into pieces. I long to sprint to his side, to offer my comfort and support, but this cursed mirror, locked in place, bars my escape and keeps me trapped in this painfully distant reality.
I know.
Serenity rubs his arm. Havoc looks over at his sister.
If I end the world, you won't have mortals worshipping the ground you walk on anymore.
Serenity shrugs and sits up straighter.
I'll survive without them. I'll still have you and Cosmo.
A sudden creak echoes through the room's stillness, slicing through the silence and drawing the twins' curious gazes. A vibrant red hoodie materializes right before me.
Cosmo!
Serenity exclaimed, her eyes widening in surprise with a mix of innocence and guilt, much like a child caught red-handed with her hand in the cookie jar. An electric tension charges the room as her cheeks flush a delicate shade of pink, betraying her nerves. Cosmo draws down the vibrant red hood, revealing his smooth, gleaming bald head, which catches the light like polished marble.
I stand before you to proclaim that hope has been awakened. A new era is upon us, and a god has been born. Huzzah!
He declares, infusing his words with a fervor reminiscent of a history professor reluctantly pulled from the depths of musty old archives. He hardly conveys the prompt and circumstances that his message should possess.
What on this green earth are you talking about?
Serenity asks, her brows furrowing as she rolls her eyes dramatically, showcasing her bemusement. The sunlight filters through the leaves overhead, casting a dappled pattern on her face, but her expression remains frustrated. Beside her, Havoc looks similarly puzzled, his mouth slightly agape and his eyebrows raised as if trying to process a riddle that doesn't make sense. Cosmo steps to the side, his gaze snapping straight to me.
It but needs to open the door.
Open the door. I grunt, a sense of frustration bubbling beneath the surface. It's been ages since Havoc demonstrated this process, yet it feels like a distant memory from a lifetime ago. I concentrate intently on his room, my mind resolute and determined to reach it. As I immerse myself in the reflection, a shimmering crystal handle materializes from the mirror's polished surface. The handle glistens in the ambient light, its facets catching and reflecting a rainbow of colors, inviting me to grasp it. I swiftly grasp the doorknob, flinging the door open with a rush of adrenaline that sends my heart racing. As I step into the dimly lit room, the atmosphere is thick with tension. Serenity and Havoc's wide eyes reflect a mix of shock and surprise. Havoc springs from the bed in one graceful motion, his movements effortless and fluid, as if propelled by an unseen force. He instantly crosses the room, scooping me up in his strong arms. The warmth of his body envelops me as he buries his face into the crook of my neck, inhaling deeply as if memorizing my very essence.
How did you manage to escape?
Serenity exclaims, her voice laced with a mix of frustration and bewilderment. She leaps to her feet, her eyes wide with disbelief. Havoc's grip on me gradually weakens as the air thickens with tension, a charged stillness settling around us. He slowly pivots toward her, and I can see the storm brewing within him. His mood shifts darker, like the sky before a tempest. His rage radiates off of him in violent waves, popping and crackling like bolts of lightning, a palpable threat to anyone foolish enough to approach.
Escape?
He seethes, his voice low and menacing, each word dripping with betrayal.
You said she was dead. You promised me she was in Elysium.
The intensity of his accusation hangs heavy in the atmosphere, and I can feel the weight of his fury pressing down on all of us. Electric and unyielding.
I told you she was gone.
She snapped, her voice sharp as she folded her arms tightly beneath her chest.
You jumped to the conclusion she perished in the apartment collapse. But the truth is, she was in Elysium.
A technicality? You lied to me under a fucking technicality?
Havoc roars, his voice reverberating through the air, echoing with fury and disbelief. He yanks me closer, his grip firm and possessive, as if to shield me from any possibility of being snatched away from him again. I can feel the heat radiating from his body, starkly contrasting the cold reality of the betrayal hanging in the air. Why? I demand, feeling a mix of confusion and disbelief at her audacity. She can turn this however she wants, but she kidnapped me and kept me trapped in some heavenly prison. I deserve an explanation for the turmoil she has inflicted upon me. The false memories she created for me, promises of what could have been, all the while snatching away the life I worked hard for.
Because
She snaps.
I wanted him to go through with the apocalypse.
Her hands drop to her side in defeat. She seems suddenly weighed down by an unknown burden.
I'm sick of them. They're grateful for nothing, expect everything, and hate is spreading like a plague. Despite what Cosmo thinks, I believe Havoc is right. I think it's time for a reset. Mankind has had its moment, but that moment is over.
You can't give up on them yet, I plead. Not only to Serenity, but also to Havoc. Our pursuit of happiness, meaning, and understanding gives us purpose and motivation to evolve continuously. We can change and will change. We need time. Perhaps we're going through a dark time right now, but we can rise back up out of those ashes. Mankind might have its flaws, but we deserve to live. We deserve the right to try and do better.
Nadine,
Havoc grabs my chin, turning my head toward him.
you're not a part of humanity anymore. You're a part of us.
She is humanity's heart.
Cosmo tells him.
If you kill the rest of the body, there is a good chance you very well may kill her along with it.
Havoc's piercing gaze shifted over my shoulder, landing on Cosmo with a hint of intensity.
I had already resolved long before I discovered that Nadine was still alive. not to unleash chaos upon the world.
He declared, his voice steady yet heavy with unsaid implications.
What?
Serenity's voice shot up an octave, the shock evident as it reverberated in the charged atmosphere. Relief floods my soul. Havoc's gaze shifts back to me.
I couldn't get rid of the last thing you cared about.
A smile of appreciation spreads across my face. So you're not going to end the world? He slowly shakes his head, a look of gentle regard crossing his face, before leaning down and planting a soft, tender kiss on my forehead. The warmth of his lips lingers for a moment, providing a comforting reassurance that wraps around me like a warm embrace.
It isn't time for the chapter of humanity to end yet,
Cosmo declares, his steady, resonant voice cutting through the heavy tension in the air. Serenity's lips contract into a tight line, a subtle reflection of the internal conflict brewing within her. Despite the swirling emotions in her heart, she accepts Havoc's choice.
though it isn't their time yet.
Cosmo continues.
The day will come when their story ends, and when that moment comes, the four of us will stand resolutely by their side through good times and the bad, with hope illuminating our path like a guiding star. And time, relentless and unwavering, continues its inexorable march forward, as it should.
Thank you for listening to Chapter 15 of Falling for Havoc. I hope you enjoyed it. If so, please like this video, subscribe to this channel, and hit the bell for more notifications. This is the final installment of Falling for Havoc, but feel free to check out other audiobooks on this channel. Falling for Havoc can be found at wattpad.com or on the Wattpad app. Search for my username, reading_mermaid08, to see this book and many others I have written.